in the Garden. I'm Len Schroeder.
And I'm Julio Zamora.
Nutgrass, a major weed that can infest not only our lawns, but our landscapes and gardens. We'll tell you how to control nutgrass in our first segment.
Do you have any houseplants or tropical plants outside this summer? We'll tell you what you need to do for a smooth transition indoors in our second segment.
Is it true hummingbirds ride on the backs of other birds during their migration across the Gulf of Mexico? We'll give you the answer in our third segment.
Professor Steve is a loyal listener and a friend of Bloomers. He left a commentary and objective view on gardens. We'll discuss his call during our fourth segment.
What's bugging you? Scary looking, big, huge wasps that I was like these things are going to eat me. They're going to eat, they're going to bite me, they're going to sting me, I'm going to pass out, and they're going to eat me. It is the cicada killer wasp, but don't fear. They are very mild-mannered, and they are not interested in you. They are interested in cicadas, and we'll explain all of that in our final segment.
So stay tuned, and we'll be right back in the garden right after these messages. Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best-looking plants in the neighborhood.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
Welcome, everybody, to Bloomers in the Garden. Yes, it's that time of year, huh, Len? Brother, I'm telling you. It's nutsedge, folks, and I've been pulling that out the last 2 days. Also known as nutgrass is a fast-growing weed that seems to grow overnight.
Yeah. It does.
Here's what you can do.
All right, so where do you have it? Do you have it in your zoysia?
No, I never had that in my zoysia.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Zoysia is pretty thick, but...
Yeah. It's in our.
It's in your beds, or is it at Bloomers? Oh, no. All right.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing the last.
I mean, it's at my house. I've got it in my landscape beds, and I do have some of it in your lawn. So if your lawn, you have a patch of grass, and if you're cutting your lawn each week, you may not notice that it's actually a different type of plant because I guess the blades are somewhat small if you keep cutting them, but if you let them grow, they get tall and then they form a seed head, and it's almost the stem of it is almost square, the older it gets. But let's start in your lawn. If you have a section of grass, it grows faster than all of your other grass. Or if it's like a chartreuse color where it's like a limey green, it's not like a deep dark green like the rest of your grass. That more than likely is nut sedge, and again, nut sedge or nut grass. And why the heck do you call it that anyway? Because at the root, it's a little bulb, and it looks like a nut. And that when you pull it out, you've got to make sure that you're pulling it out by the root and getting that out as well. It is a pain. And that the good thing is after a rain, not in the middle when it's in the middle of your lawn, but if it's in your landscape beds, if it's wet, it pulls up pretty easy. It's not that hard. But it is a pain in the lawn because you either got to dig it out. Aaron's shaking his head.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually so much so when we were planting our garden in front of the house, we realized that all of that, it was like within like maybe 2 inches of soil, right? And below that, it was just like the clay, that type of dirt.
Yep.
But it was like a whole bed of those bulb-like seeds underneath.
Yeah.
Once we pulled them out, they were waiting, I guess, for the light to hit and sprout again. It's crazy, right?
That's it. And you just need to keep after it. But there are some things that you can do to get rid of it. And it seems especially this time of the year with the heat and all the other things that summer brings that they're called into like taking over now. I did want to give a dishonorable mention to another type of sedge that is called Kalinga.
Kalinga, oh yes.
Fun to say. Yeah. I have Kalinga. You can get a prescription for that. Anyway, but Kalinga is tough because it's a type of sedge.
Yeah.
And where it needs to be controlled. I had it take over my entire lawn.
Oh my God.
And it's that same look. It's a paler green and it's a fine bladed. I had a customer come in asking for seed for it.
What?
Yeah, it's like, do you have these seed? I want to seed. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Because it dies out and goes dormant in the winter. Kind of like soja. Boom, boom.
You got brown all over.
Like anyway, so Kalinga is something to take a look at. If you have like a real fine blade, but it also is, again, it will form a seed head probably in the next month, and that it goes to seed. Just another type of sedge that is hard to take care of. I actually took glyphosate and killed my entire lawn and reseeded it, and it all came back. Right.
So
I should have used, and everybody perk up, this is what you need to use, and this is when it's in your lawn. You need to use Sedge Ender or Fertilome Weed Out, Nut Sedge Control. Fertilome Weed Out Nut Sedge Control or Bonide Sedge Ender. They will have, obviously the Fertilome folks were smart enough to put nut sedge on the label. The Bonide product is Sedge Ender, so it does have sedge in it. The key is pick either of them because they both have the same active ingredients. Okay. It's going to do the same thing, so it's going to control the nut sedge. I would not spray this in a landscape bed. So I would just go ahead and do a product like, for how long we are going to have, Roundup type products around because there's, the lawyers got a hold of it. And that we'll see, but that would be something that would work. Something that is listed for landscape beds and you can look on the package or best yet, go to your local garden center and ask them what to spray in a landscape bed to control nut sedge or nutgrass. And they will give you the right product. If you are stuck at Home Depot or Lowe's at that mile-long shelf of poison and trying to figure out what you're supposed to put down, and the guy from Lumber comes over and gives you a suggestion, you don't know whether that's right. But if you go to your local garden center, they will tell you exactly. So make sure that you favor your local garden center. This is where you need them the most, and that, honestly, they appreciate your business. So
beautiful.
Look for your lawn, Fertilome Weed Out Nut Sedge Control or Bonide Sedge Ender. Sulfentrazone is the active ingredient, but it also has podiamine in it. And podiamine is a pre-emergent as well, which will control other types of weeds. So you'll get other weed control, but it can be used on basically all of the grass that we grow in our area, including zoysia, Julio.
Yes, even that.
Yeah. So, but again, it's will suppress clover as well, dandelions, crabgrass,
Kalinga. Your favorite.
Yes. Anyway, it's not my favorite, but it's probably what my lawn is. In any case, just do that. And then if you're wondering if you can reseed, I would wait to probably 6 weeks or so to reseed because the residue will still be in there. Mm-hmm. But that is actually on the package. Mm-hmm. So just make sure you're finding that. Also, one key is like a lot of these control products have what are called rain fast, where as long as it's dry, it can rain all over it. So as long as you put it down and it's dry, because we're getting these, late summer, fall, like it rains every day. Right. So it will, as long as it's dry, you're good.
Beautiful.
All right. Mm-hmm. Julio, anything to add to that?
No, I like the fact that it also kills crabgrass.
Yes, it does. It does do that.
Awesome.
But primarily, it's all for nutgrass.
Nutgrass,
so.
yeah.
All right. We'll be back in the garden right after these messages. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Coast of Maine's Organic Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the best soil for raised bed gardens, planter boxes, and container gardens. It grows amazing vegetables. It is made with a mixture of manure compost, worm castings, lobster and kelp meal, mycorrhiza, green sand, and biochar. It's ready to use straight out of the bag with no need for additional components or tilling. If you love growing fresh and hearty vegetables, herbs, and flowers, Coast of Maine's Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the perfect choice for you. At Coast of Maine, we believe in growing organically and buying locally. Castine Organic Raised Bed Mix can be found at these fine stores.
Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania. Ashcombe Farm and Greenhouses, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Tony's Farm and Garden, Windsor, New Jersey.
James, won't you turn that old iPad off and come on over here and listen to the radio with Pop-Pop? I'm sure we can find something to listen to.
Okay.
Let me see here.
It's going to be another scorcher out here today. It's those doggone dog days of summer with temperatures topping out in the high 90s.
God dog it, made me drop my doggone coffee.
Pop, what's a dog day?
Well, James, it's funny that you asked that question because every dog has its day. And the dog days of summer is a magical time at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, where they've got the nerve, the unmitigated gall. You'll learn about those words a little bit later on, to slash prices all over the place. I'm talking crazy numbers here. $50 off all Blood Good Japanese maple trees. 50% off all shade trees, camellias and oak leaf hydrangeas. Even all their fruit trees are 50% off. That's not all their nursery has to offer. 75% off French lilac hybrids. 75% off snow sprite cedar, tricolor willow, and enoki cypress. Meet petite knockout roses for $15.99 each or 2 for $25. To wrap up the dog days of summer with these awesome blowout deals. You see what I did there?
I guess that Bloomers, Pop, you're barking up the right tree.
You've been hanging around your pawpaw for too long. You're starting to sound just like me. I see what you did there, young man.
For more information, check out bloomers.com. You've got to see this place.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Hey, did you know that some of the most popular plants that we sell in spring are tropicals for people to put around their patios and their porch and things like that?
Yeah.
But, realistically, you can't necessarily bring them all in. But between Boston ferns and mandevilla, right? Palms, bananas.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Now, Julio, do you do that at all?
I used to. I don't now. Gotten a little lazier.
Man, oh man.
You know how it is.
Anyway.
I got to take care of my perennials.
But here's what I bananas, I have mandevilla, and I have some hibiscus.
You got all that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're Mr.
Well,
Tropical.
I've got 2 houses to deal with. So Danielle's house, not my house.
I got you. I understand now.
So, and most of all of those are at her house.
They are. Okay.
In any case, she's going to tell me, it was like, all right, the bananas, like, for instance, have grown now, like, probably to 6 feet.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, those are getting put in the trunk. They're being composted.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yes. Yes,
You have
they
no
are.
room. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I'm not bringing them.
Oh, okay.
The leaves go across the room. It's like there'd be the plants, but no people can come in. But you've got to start thinking about this, because if you do want to bring them in, like hibiscus can be brought in without too much of a problem. Mandevilla, I'm on the fence with. I mean, they would get ugly.
Crawl over.
Well, it's just they're big and unruly, and if they start to drop leaves, that's a mess.
It is.
So let's just kind of figure the Boston ferns. Bring those in.
Palms.
Palms you can bring in,
Right.
and again, it depends on how big they got. And that you might not have room, and I want to ease people's guilt. You can euthanize plants. It's okay. All right. They were grown knowing that, think about this. You let them grow for an entire season. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's great.
A lot of people kill them right off the bat. So you're just doing it a little later. They don't have feelings. And if anyone would like to argue that, please contact Julio Zamora, care of Bloomers in the Garden. Anyway.
Right.
But it's realistic that, basically you treat them as an annual.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them. But some of that you want to try to bring back, because a lot of these things aren't that expensive. Like, I compare everything to how much a Happy Meal costs.
Right.
So like, how much is a Happy Meal? Happy Meal's like, we talked about this the other day, Aaron. You told me it was like $10 for a Happy Meal.
That's it.
And you've got 2 kids, so there's $20 right there.
Bucks.
That's right.
Is that low for a Happy
That's
Meal?
kind of high.
For a Happy Meal? Well, how much is a Happy Meal?
It's got like $7.
Oh, $7. All right, there. That's
$3.
wow. That's a big
$3.
difference. Well, you must go with the small soda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you get a small drink.
That's right.
Of course.
Water, please.
Yeah.
Small.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Small
you're
everything.
raising those families. I remember those days. No, water with lemon, please.
And if you're fancy, you'll get a seltzer water with lemon.
Well, then you got to pay for that because they had those bubbles.
Yeah, right?
Anyway, but it's not that expensive to replace them next year. And you also are, hate to say it, but are going to probably have a better plant.
Yeah.
So let's just say you're bringing in, like we had said, Boston ferns. You're going to bring in your hibiscus, tropical hibiscus now. We're not talking about Rose of Sharon, and we're not talking about hardy hibiscus. We're talking about tropical hibiscus. You got to start planting that now because they should be repotted into larger pots. Okay. They also have insects on them that you probably aren't aware of, and that you're going to have a transition to the point where they're in sunlight now, natural sunlight that isn't blocked by windows or curtains or, all the things that you have in your home where you have to get them used to and acclimated to a lower light environment. And what will happen is, like, I can guarantee you they are going to drop leaves. They're going to turn yellow. Those leaves will fall off. There'll be green leaves on the end, but you need to make sure that you prep them for this. And that the way that you do that, there's not a whole lot you can do for light, but you can, first of all, you need to spray them. And spray them with triple action. Triple action, yes, sir. Triple action is a combination, or it's a great combination spray. It will control aphids, mealybugs, all kinds of different insects, and you should spray them at least 3 times before you bring them in the house, about 7 to 10 days apart. And that you're controlling the adults that are there. Great, you got rid of the adults, but guess what? The eggs are still there. And then you have to control the eggs and the nymphs and every generation. So spraying them 3 times pretty much cleans them up. And then that last thing to do is use and I guess Julio would probably do it in the beginning with that granular. Yeah. So you use a granular systemic, which makes the plant poisonous to the insect. Now, all you get organic folks out there, don't go nuts. It is just easier for people that prize having nicer plants and just don't really have, like you said before, you don't have the time. Yeah. Systemic insecticides, and that you want to put that in there and start working right away while you still have it outside. So when you bring it in, all of a sudden you don't have creepy crawlies on your carpet or, on your drapes or someplace else. So you want to control all those insects before you bring them in the house. And again, like I said, repot them. Yeah. How do you know what bigger pot do? You want to have at least 2 inches, okay, on each side of the pot. That would be fresh, new potting soil. So it's going to be that much bigger. So you're going to talking about 2 inches on each side. And it also depends on how big the plant is. I mean, some people can have whoppers that are like in 14-inch pots that are gigantic. You still have to do the same thing. You want to give them space for the roots to grow, but also to make it easier to take care of inside. One thing, too, make sure you buy saucers. Oh, yes. Put saucers under your plants because, believe it. Again, when you water them outside, you kind of don't care if the water goes all over the place because hardwood floor. You want to start a flood. You'd be a Bounty commercial trying to get all that water up. But again, make sure that you put them in a larger pot. Start spraying them for insects, and 3 applications minimum, 7 to 10 days apart. Because we're not talking about cold; we're talking about cleaning them up for inside the house. We're not going to have frost until probably October, so you've got plenty of time. But you got to get started on it now if you're going to get those 3 applications because you want to spray them outside, not inside your house. Yeah.
It's freezing out. You don't want to try that.
Well, if you don't, true, but you don't want to bring them inside your house and be spraying.
No, I don't want to smell.
And that's why the systemic works great because you don't smell it, and it takes it up through. It's like an antibiotic. It takes it up through the roots. Puts it up into the plant. Yeah. When the insect goes to feed, it eats it. Yeah, I mean, beautiful. I put that stuff on my cat and dog. Oh, yeah. Where you put that little pinch of the thing. Works well. Yeah. And I mean, it basically, and you look at the active ingredient, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
It is. It's the same thing. Yeah. Aaron, you had dogs. Did you know what I'm talking about? Where you put it's like in a little bitty pinch thing where you cut the top off and you put it between their shoulder blades. Oh. And for the dogs, for fleas and ticks. Yes. It's the same active ingredient that's in the insecticide for the systemic houseplant control.
Yeah.
So
that stuff always made my dogs go mad. because they want to lick it off.
Try doing it to a cat. Anyway, plant's not running anywhere.
That's
Plant's not going to turn around and growl. So
anything.
again, it's going to thank you because it's going to finally get all those creepy crawlies from biting them. So again, you're going to spray them with a liquid spray, and you're also going to apply a granular systemic insect control at the root. Okay, and again, it's 3 applications minimum, 7 to 10 days apart. Anything cool you got to add?
No, we got it all here.
We got it all. And just remember, don't think that you did something wrong when they start dropping leaves.
That's right.
It is just acclimating to its new environment.
That's it.
It's acclimating to its new environment. And you're going to pick up leaves for a while, but eventually it will finally acclimate. And again, remember, every day we get closer to Christmas is another shorter day of lack of sunlight. Each day is a little bit less and a little bit less. You know, remember those days in December where you go outside and it's dark at 4 o'clock?
Oh, yeah.
I hate that.
I know that.
Hate that.
So do the plants.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And we're going to talk about sunlight and what it affects and how it affects hummingbirds in a segment coming up. So stay tuned and we'll be right back right after this.
Are you looking to reach an audience of over 12 million residents in the Philadelphia, Delaware Valley, and New York City tri-state? Then consider becoming a broadcast sponsorship partner for Bloomers in the Garden. Every week on Bloomers in the Garden Radio, your products become associated with the authority in everything lawn, landscape, and garden. For more information on the Bloomers in the Garden Partnership Program, feel free to call the hotline 609-685-1880 or check out the radio tab at bloomers.com.
Do you think you have insects eating away your nice, beautiful lawn? Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below is the product for you. Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below not only controls chinch bugs, which is a surface-feeding insect, but also controls grubs, which is a subsurface feeding insect. It does it all, guaranteed. When most homeowners see their lawn turning brown in the summer, they think grubs, damage from the larva, a Japanese beetle. But in many cases, it could be chinch bugs. Chinch bugs are hard to see because they are so small and you'd need to get down on your hands and knees to see them. If you misdiagnose your problem, Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below has you covered. The product will control both chinch bugs and grubs. This summer, control your pest problems with Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below. It also may be used in flower beds, on landscape ornamentals, trees, and shrubs. Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below will also control crane fly larvae, ants, mole crickets, sod webworms, bill bugs, and many more. Your property will be pest-free with Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below. So next time you're visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below and expect to have the best-looking lawn and landscape in the neighborhood.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So are hummingbirds hitchhikers catching rides across the Gulf of Mexico? I don't know about that.
They definitely don't fly Frontier. No, they are not hitchhikers. That is an old wives' tale. They fly 500 miles nonstop across the Gulf of Mexico.
My goodness.
And they come in both ways. You know, they come in the spring. 500. And they go in the fall.
That's 1,000.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That is wow.
All right. So how many miles would that be in metric? Or I guess what would be the measurement in metric?
In metrics, we'll have to
Professor. Professor's coming up, though.
Yes, he is.
Maybe we'll ask him. Anyway, but it is a myth about them. It is incredible to think that little bird can take that long a trip and that's why they're so they're rapid fire. Like hummingbirds have finally arrived at my house. Great. Aaron, you said you had them and then they're gone, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and
they're gone
as quick as they came. About a week later, we hadn't seen any left. We maybe have seen maybe 3.
No,
really?
Yeah.
They're not staying around.
Are you changing? I mean, I asked you, and you said you're changing. You're changing
change the water. We clean
nectar.
the feeder. We clean the holes as well.
Yeah, and it's not water; it's nectar that's going in
nectar,
there.
yes, but
we
clean it with water and alcohol, and then put water back in it. Rubbing alcohol. Yeah.
Don't.
No,
just water.
Okay.
I don't think that has anything to do with it, but But yeah, that I had read on Birds and Blooms that to just use water.
Okay.
Not even dish soap. Like I used to use dish soap in mine to try to clean it. I said don't because the residue can mess with them. But I mean, alcohol, I don't know. And do you have your hummingbird feeder up? How's your flock?
Oh, no, I haven't seen any.
You haven't?
No.
Do you sit out there and watch?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had, you know what? Yesterday I went over to my friend's house.
Yep.
And their feeder is like filled with them.
Yeah?
Oh, man. They even have a baby.
How far? A baby?
Yeah, a baby hummingbird.
Really? Did it have a diaper on? Is that
a
how you knew?
mosquito?
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah. All right. I have had, I had no hummingbirds in the beginning.
Right.
And I think I said so on the show. Now they're here with a vengeance where,
wow. That's great.
yeah, it's really exciting to see. Actually, my future mother-in-law was over. And, and that, it looked like I knew what I was doing. Yeah, be able to provide hummingbird viewing for her daughter. Anyway, but again, it's important to continue to feed. Like a lot of people are afraid, if I stop feeding, or if I keep feeding them, they're going to stay here. They don't stay here because you're feeding them. The amount of nectar that's available, like where, you have peak season for flowering in summertime, but as we get into the fall, that they're still hanging around eating and feeding, and that the flower selection is less and less. As far as especially the ones that have a lot of nectar in them, like, compare like lantana or fuchsia or some of the tropical plants that we have that are growing and producing flowers to like chrysanthemums. I mean, it's not the same flower type. Yeah. So, and just like how we increase the amount of bird seed and that we put out during the fall and winter, for hummingbirds, we have to make sure that we keep it out through the fall because they leave according to daylight. The daylight is what triggers them. It's like, time to go.
Yep.
But they need to be fattened up to be able to make that trip, the 500 miles across the Gulf of Mexico. And granted, they're feeding on their way to the Gulf. Usually, their launching point is going to be from Texas or somewhere along those lines. But it's it just is an amazing journey. And if you you stop putting out your, they remember, and they have they're almost like bus drivers. They know their route. They stop here, they stop there, they stop at Aaron's, they stop at my place, they stop at Julio's. But if somebody doesn't put their feeder out, or if you let your nectar get fermented, they stop coming to you. And they say, we're not going to that stop anymore. So that restaurant has bad food. So what happens is you got to make sure that you're changing it out. And Feeder Fresh, I absolutely love it because changing out your nectar every, say, 4 days when it's in the 80s and 90s is not realistic for most people that have actual real lives. No offense. Send your complaint mail to Julio Zamora, care of Bloomers in the Garden. But the reality is I can go 2 weeks with Feeder Fresh nectar and don't have to change it. When I made my own, and you can make your own nectar, again, it's 1 part ordinary white cane sugar to 4 parts water. You don't need to boil it or anything. Just use hot water. But I needed to change that because it got moldy as far as like around the port entries, and it was dirty. The Feeder Fresh, I only have to rinse because it isn't dirty. So I don't really have to to wash my feeder out the same way I did using just straight sugar. So just a tip out there. Think about Feeder Fresh. Look for it at your local garden center. Most local garden centers are going to have it. They have it in 2 ways where it's actually the nectar, powder nectar that you use versus an additive that you can add into your own nectar. And it extends the life of your nectar.
Wow.
Understood?
Beautiful.
Understood.
That's incredible.
It's a good thing. Yeah. But don't stop feeding your hummingbirds because your hummingbirds are going to want to feed right up into the time when it's time to take off. Yeah, really. And that could be as late as October.
Wow.
So don't think, like I've had people say, no, they froze to my feeder. And it's like, you liar. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Yeah. Look, The hummingbirds are smarter than you do, and than you are when they know when to leave, okay? It's just like our plants. Our plants are controlled by daylight time, not necessarily by how much you feed them. So keep on doing it, and then when you realize that your feeders aren't going down anymore, and again, this is some time that's going to be closer to where we're closer to the frost date or freeze date. So again, and I guess that's it. I mean, also keep your for instance, like Julio was cleaning up some rudbeckia that we had. If your rudbeckia leaves their seed heads on coneflower, leave the seed heads on for the birds. Don't cut them back. Leave your perennials so that they can feed the birds, and that the birds will go, and you'll get finch. You'll get, you'll get plenty of goldfinch on your, especially on rudbeckia and coneflower.
Yeah, they love them.
Anyway, all right, we're running long. We're going to be right back in the garden with Professor Steve right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
Dreaming of a gorgeous garden? Give your azaleas, rhododendron, blueberries, and evergreens a powerful boost with the #1 acid-loving plant food, Espoma Organic Hollytone. Hollytone is a perfect blend of natural, long-lasting ingredients that nourish plants for stronger roots, faster growth, and bountiful blooms. Plus, it's easy to use and safe for people, pets, and planet. Visit espoma.com for a retailer near you and helpful gardening tips. Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We like
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Say it.
Yeah.
Professor Steve was stopped at the garden center, and we got into conversation about how gardens are, like, we got into it as an art form and as far as it and it's a self-expression, like in art. Right. Now, he called the hotline and gave us this interesting perspective to carry on the conversation. Here it is.
See you in the garden. What a wonderful, kind way of expressing yourself. Now, Expressing yourself can be done in different ways. In the garden, you express yourself in a vegetable garden by growing delicious, fresh produce to share with your family or friends. In the flower garden, lovely, fragrant flowers can be beautify your landscape while attracting the 3 Bs, birds, bees, and butterflies. And you talked about all these gardens many times, Len, but I have yet to hear you talk about the most common type of garden, and that is what they call a garden in other countries. We call it our yard. One major function of this garden is to attract humans, people who will visit and enjoying some time socializing with you, together enjoying the beauty, the peace, and the tranquility in your garden. I have many neighbors increasingly coming over to sit on my benches, enjoy the scenery, and relax to the well-placed wind chimes around my yard. Perhaps you could talk about where to place my wind chimes and what type to get. Thanks, and I'll see you in the garden, Len. Bye-bye. You too, Julio.
He snuck you in. He talks to you more than me.
I know he does.
Professor Steve, you're right. You're right. But you're a gracious man. You know, where he doesn't mind people coming over.
No,
I'm not sure if I'd want my neighbors coming over at any time to sit on my benches in my garden. But
well, you're redoing your whole. Well, you know what I mean.
Anyway. All right. So, but what he's saying is right. Like where we don't look at it that, you know, gardens are done for flowers. And like his point is, as a yard, like your landscape is part of your yard. Your lawn is part of your yard. Your vegetable garden is part of, you know, what Americans call their yard. But again, it's all, as Europeans would say, your garden. And I like that thought because it sounds a whole lot nicer than your yard. This is my 3 foot. No, this is, but where your garden, it starts at the edge of your property line and it's from the perimeter in. So there's no place like, and Americans, we kind of, and I'm off on a tangent, where Americans, we like, okay, so you have a lawn, you have a landscape, you know, a few landscape plants, and too many people don't have any landscape plants.
At all.
And it's ugly.
I know. Phew.
Do you know landscaping is the number one, you get more money back on your landscape than per dollar spent. Like, so the return on the dollar spent on your landscape is greater than anything else that you do, even like you're placing your bathroom or your kitchen.
Yeah.
So,
isn't that amazing?
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's right.
And it can be used as a capital gains. I believe I am not a accountant or, you know, tax lawyer, but I believe it can be used as a capital improvement, and therefore you can apply that to certain tax advantages. Consult your accountant for more information. But some of the gardens we talk about, like we talk about the public gardens around this area.
Yeah, we do.
And New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Philadelphia is the prime center. You could spend a whole 3-day weekend going to each of the gardens throughout the 50 miles around Philadelphia.
Oh, you can.
And it would be, that would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But those are public gardens. And Steve is kind of alluding to is like make your home a public garden.
Public garden, yeah.
Where do you have a private space in your yard that's like that you created just for you to like hang out in?
Not yet.
Or entertain?
I'm
or
going
anything?
to in the back, yeah.
Yeah. See, my back screened in porch is surrounded by their hanging baskets and that is my, you know,
little
cave,
hangout place.
Was it Cave of Solitude? Sam, you would know this. What do they call it? Where is it? Cave of Solitude or something like that?
Fortress of Solitude?
Fortress of Solitude.
That's where Superman lives.
That's where Superman lives.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Well, I'm not there yet. But,
there
but in any case,
you're working on it.
But it's kind of like that. But also that becomes an entertaining spot too. But think of it as just don't plant flowers for the sake of planting flowers, or don't plant a garden like Steve said, in meaning landscape. You know, think about what you're doing. Like I would always love, I want to plant a I guess it's a, I don't even know what to call it. Like where it would be a biblical garden. So there would be St. John's wort, and there would be Judas tree, and there would be all plants
a sanctuary
that are no, not a sanctuary, but it would just be a themed garden that are plants that are based on biblical history.
Right, I got you.
And I just someday I will do that. Awesome. And that as far as, for people to enjoy different, I wanted to do that at our church one time, but they didn't want me to put the Judas tree. No, tree. I'm kidding. That's a joke. All right, so it's not funny. So anyway, but from what Steve's saying is like with the wind chimes, because we were talking about that as well, where he said, wind chimes add so much, and that is combining art with your plants. And I really do love that there are a lot of artists that are out there that have things that are really unique. I just want everyone out there to express yourself, like the song says, through your lawn, landscape, garden, whatever you want to call it. Right. But have fun with it. Oh, yeah. Have fun with it. Great. And you can change it up a little bit every year. It can be, we have so many dwarf conifers that will age and grow, that. And I guess it's touching to think that you can plant a plant with your children that will grow slow enough and be there as they get older and have children of their own. Yeah, that's awesome. And doing things like that with the thought that it's a little deeper than just, I'm going to put in, patience. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So give it, think deeper about the gardens that we install. Oh, yeah. Julio, you said your sanctuary is not done yet. No. What do you know certain elements that you definitely want in it?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Well, that was meant for you to share, Julio. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking. My front is totally different. It's going to be different than my back. I'm looking more conifer in the back. Yeah. Yeah. As opposed to I have a lot of perennials in the front. Okay.
But as far as like how is it personal to you?
Yeah, I like color, so I want to bring a lot of color through by the conifers. Yeah.
Julio used to have daylilies in front of his house, like masses of daylilies, and it used to be everybody who walked by would comment, stop, and they'd look. I did a landscape for my daughter when she lived in Philadelphia. Oh yeah, and that she would take pictures of people that would stop and talk and look at their plants and everything else and send them to me. And it's that kind of thing. So I think that's what Professor Steve is talking about.
Yeah, I think so too. He wants to share what he's doing. In his home.
Yep. So, I don't know. Yeah. Think deeper.
Yes.
Think deeper.
Think deeper. Thank you, Steve.
Express yourself.
Express yourself. Yes.
All right. We'll be right back right after this.
Are you looking to reach an audience of over 12 million residents in the Philadelphia, Delaware Valley, and New York City tri-state? Then consider becoming a broadcast sponsorship partner for Bloomers in the Garden. Every week on Bloomers in the Garden Radio, your products become associated with the authority in everything lawn, landscape, and garden. For more information on the Bloomers in the Garden Partnership Program, feel free to call the hotline 609-685-1880 or check out the radio tab at bloomers.com.
Some of our most frequent questions revolve around organic container gardening for houseplants, annuals, and of course, vegetables. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is a lightweight soil mixture made with salmon, blueberry, lobster, and other composts, as well as calcium and chitin-rich lobster shells, sphagnum peat, perlite, and kelp meal. It is a great soil. And Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Organic Potting Soil is rich in organic material, creating lush, disease-resistant plants that require less watering, less feeding. Its rich, dark brown color provides the perfect balance between water retention and drainage needed for healthy plants. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is available at these local retailers.
Sickles Market, Little River, New Jersey. Espen Shades Garden Centers and Greenhouse, Fleetwood, Pennsylvania. Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania.
Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB, and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
And now it's time for What's Bugging You?
Finally, I'm a beautiful butterfly!
Oh, what's bugging you? Oh, let me tell you what. Len, you brought this amazing insect into our thoughts.
Giant cicada killer wasps.
Folks, this is amazing.
They could be up to 1 3/4 inches. They look like a gigantic yellow jacket. Mm-hmm. Fat, big. Wings are brown instead of clear.
And you found these where?
Oh, well, I was doing some work, and it was a cleared area. There was not like mulch or stone or anything. It was just soil. And all of a sudden, they would come and they'd start like scratching the ground and like making holes. And so they made a hole like the size, the diameter of like a bottle cap, but about like 2 to 3 inches deep. And I'm like, I'm ready. I'm going to kill you because you're scaring the what out of me because they're like hovering, looking, they're big and make noise. And then all of a sudden another one comes. And I was actually, and to me, I completely reverted to frightened child. Okay. And fortunately, my son goes, don't kill them. They're cicada killers. And I'm like, what? I looked it up and I was like,
Carl to the rescue.
Yeah, Carl was like, all right, I actually killed one. Okay.
Yeah.
I killed one.
Yeah.
And Carl was like, why did you do that?
Oh, no. You're going to hell, Dad.
Like services.
Gasoline draws straight to hell.
Yeah.
You're killing.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I learned. And to my shame, okay?
Talk to us.
That, first of all, the males don't have singers.
Oh man.
And that they're the ones that will buzz at you and kind of like, stare you down. And
all bark, no bite.
The females have a mild sting. Like it's not like, again, and I don't like all these days, like everybody, peanut allergies, every allergy they could be allergic to this thing too. So I don't want to give advice that may like put someone in danger. Right. But supposedly their toxicity of their sting is very, very low. And it just feels more like a pinch than it does like you would get stung with a regular hornet or bee. What they do is, and I saw this, I found a cicada and they'll grab onto it. They'll sting it, and that basically knocks them out. And they'll grab it with their legs and pick it up and fly over to where they're digging those holes because they plan on laying their eggs there. And then guess what? It's dinner during the winter for their offspring. Yeah. So again, cicadas are like locusts. Right. Again, they're not they're the things that are real loud in the trees and that they're big things. And I don't know if you've ever had one like hit your car, but it sounds like it's getting hit with a rock. Again, it is something not to be afraid of. And it is the cicada killer wasp. They are just really trying to just get by. They look fierce, but they're not. And it's we just decided to just ignore them. Ignore them and they'd go away.
Yeah,
and that we both were working side by side. They were digging their little holes, and I was doing what I had to. And they'd come and visit once in a while and say, "Are you threatening me?" And it's like, "No." And so then we just keep going, and then they say, "Okay, he's all right."
There you go.
And that everything was fine.
That's good. Thank you, Carl, for that.
Carl has a lot to thank for those because I was ready. It's like, all right, what napalm can we put down on these things to destroy them all?
You're ready to shoot them down.
Right? I was. I actually had a. I was thinking, it's like, all right, this could be a good segment for the show. That I've got this stuff that is it's from Stinger, and it's a hornet control, and that it comes out like shaving cream, and but again, I didn't use it, so
it's okay.
But again, they are a beneficial insect.
There you go.
That is. Bark is worse than its biting. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. And again, it's a cicada killer wasp. Look it up.
Yeah,
look it up. You'll see these things they're big.
Enormous. They are.
They're big. They're like half the size of your thumb because they're fat too.
Yeah, they eat.
Yeah, well, they eat cicadas, unfortunately.
Yes.
But I thought they were going to eat me. So again, all right, we'll be right back after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Here we are, Julio.
Oh, boy.
Lots to learn on today's show.
Quite a bit, huh?
If you've got questions, call the hotline. 609-685-1880. We want to hear about you. If you have a unique garden, I'd like to hear about that.
Oh, yes.
So would Professor Steve. He'd love to hear
express
about
yourself.
That. Yep.
Now, if you are in the area of your local garden center, drop by and tell them you listen to Bloomers in the Garden. Also, look us up in your favorite podcast provider, and look us up on bloomers.com.
That's it. Another show, Julio.
Another show.
We're going to be right here the same time next week. See you in the garden.
See you in the garden.